Hey everybody, sorry for the delay in filming an update. My hard drive crashed and I was traveling and just a bunch of crap going on at the same time. So um, I borrowed a friend's laptop so I can upload this. Anyway, just to bring you guys up to speed. So I went out to see the surgeon, I guess it was like 2 weeks ago now, and to try to see what was going on, what was causing the symptoms to return. And I think it was the day before I saw him. I was in the gym and I was doing the elliptical machine, where your feet are kind of gliding and you've got the handles like this. And I noticed when I would like extend my arm a certain way, kind of all the way straight and kind of twist it, I was getting this popping. And it's no big deal. I get a lot of popping in my elbows. As a matter of fact, I can probably make them pop right now. Let's see. I don't know if you heard that, but small pop. Anyway, I'm getting older, so there's creaking and cracking. But I noticed I could do it like every time. And normally if my joints pop, it'll do it like once, and then it won't really do it for a while. And then afterwards, I put I thought, well, maybe, maybe, let me see what's going on. So I use my fingers to kind of put one on each side of where the nerve is, right? So right now I can feel it's like right here. And I noticed that when I straighten my arm out all the way, and I stay on top of the nerve, I noticed that this pointer finger was now pressing on my medial epicondyle bone. And I still had the nerve between it. And as I roll my arm back like this, I feel the nerve kind of come back to where it should be. So in other words, I have the reverse of what I had before. Whereas before, when my arm was straight, my nerve was in the natural place it is, and I bend my arm, my nerve would roll over the medial epicondyle bone and subluxate and cause problems. It's the opposite now. Now that they moved it on this side, when I straighten my arm, it goes back the other way. Serenity now. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to tell the surgeon. I'm going to see if he thinks it's something else or he finds that out for himself. Well, when I went in, he just kind of felt around and let me bend my arm, asked me what's going on, told him, felt like it always, did before the surgery. He didn't seem like he was going to figure it out, so I told him, and then he kind of said, oh, yeah. So, long story short, basically gave me, well, the only other thing he said was, he rubbed my hand here, and he says, is this numb? I'm like, I don't know, mostly it's my pinky that gets numb when my arm's irritated. And, I kind of get tingling around in here, but it's usually my pinky and my ring finger, And it can get numb in here, but it's mostly, I always feel like my tip of my pinky kind of get numb. And he said what's happened to him, and he had his done in his elbows, is his gets numb right here now, and he says that's more indicative of you're getting a compression at your nerve, at your ulnar nerve, which can happen. I forget what it's called. But he said, just keep in mind if this is numb, just right here, I think, as opposed to in your pinky, that could be your wrist. And then he says when you're feeling it on the back of your hand and whatnot, it's at your elbow. And I'm 99.9% sure it's my elbow because I was totally fine after surgery. And then it wasn't until, 2.5 months later that I started getting these problems. And basically he said, like, in the surgery, I said, well, did you use a fascial flap or whatever? And he says, well, I don't like to do that unless it's necessary because it can become a secondary point of compression, which, as you guys have mentioned, some of your surgeons wouldn't do the subcutaneous transposition if they used a fascial flap. And some of them insist on doing it. So it's just, again, it's all, whatever the doctor wants to do. It's so sort of frustrating with this that there's not a consensus. There's so many different, ways of getting around this and that. And it's highly dependent upon the individual as to how it's going to heal. So he didn't do the fascial flap because when he bent and straightened my arm in the surgery, he said my arm was sitting where, or the nerve was sitting where it was supposed to be. It wasn't rolling over. So he just sort of blocked off the area, he says. And I guess maybe they do that with like fat tissue or something or whatever. But I remember like when I first had it done, this area felt like puffier, you know. But then, like I said, because I was trying to figure out like, well, how did it get back to the other spot? And you know, after my surgery, I kind of dropped a little bit of weight because I wasn't working out or anything, and then I had some vacations going up. My wife and I went to South Beach, Miami, so trying to get in shape for that. Did more cardio and ate cleaner and definitely lost a lot of fat. So maybe just literally losing fat. You can't target where you're going to lose fat, so you lose fat all over your body. I thought, well, maybe, the fat that I lost fat in there, and that just made it easier for it to move back into the other spot, which I'm sure is probably how it happened. My other theory is that, when these are decompressed and this is compressed and all that's released, your nerve is just chill, It's like, think of a shoestring or any kind of string. If you just laid it along your arm like that, it's going to stay where you want it if no one's pulling on each side, But if it's pulling on each side and then there's something here, it's tight, So like whether it is going to be here when you straighten, if it's tight, it's going to pop back over there because it's trying to find the shortest spot. And if it's tight here, it's going to pop back over there. So that's kind of my other theory. That's not as comforting if I have to go back in and do the fascial flap. That's basically what he said. He said, well, if this continues to bother you, we'll have to go in and go back in and do the fascial flap. Which makes it complicated because then it's like, what the hell do I do with my left? And now, that I know it pops over when it's straight, I try to keep my arm bent when I sleep. So now I sleep like this, like, and it's confusing because I'm always like mentally trying to remember to keep this arm bent, but then I do wake up sometimes and I have them both bent, because it's hard to do one, with one and not the other. And same thing with working out. It was actually easier when I had the problem in both arms because then I could sort of not go past 90 degrees of flexion or whatever. But now with this arm, it behooves me to keep it bent more. So like, when I'm doing like bicep curls or something, I'll have it like, I'll curl all the way up and then maybe I don't go down all the way and then I like curl it all the way up. So, but then, I have to do them one by one, or bench pressing is actually another thing. I can't like fully extend because I don't want to like irritate it. So it sucks, man. It's no better than it was. It really isn't. And I feel it's maybe the people that complain on message boards and whatnot like have this experience. They just aren't able to sort of identify and articulate what it is that happened after their surgery that didn't cause any relief. But I mean, I definitely don't think I had mine for too long to get, the symptoms can't be stopped because like I said, it was fine right after. So I don't know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to go in and do it again. It sucks because I wanted to just do the other one and get the fuck on with my life. It's just like, it's just a cloud that just keeps hanging over me, and I know you guys know the feeling. It's so frustrating, And I noticed this, and now a lot of things make sense because when I was, working more on the computer and whatnot, and I was mousing, I had my desk is kind of high. I didn't have like a keyboard tray or anything, so my arms are kind of out straight, and my arm was out straight when I was mousing. Well, that was why I was probably getting irritated because it was close to, like, I don't have to see this is the other thing. He told me, oh, you have the ability to be hyper flexible and, basically hyper extend your elbow when you fully straighten your arm. I'm like, well, when I straighten my arm like this, I can feel the nerve is pretty much like on the bone right here. Like, and my arm is far from being totally bent. Like it's pretty much sitting right on the bone right there. Okay? So if before I had it, when I asked a bunch of surgeons, does it have to pop completely over to be technically subluxation? They would say no. It can just kind of roll over onto the side, and that could be enough to cause irritation. So if that's enough to cause irritation before, wouldn't it just sitting on it be enough to cause irritation afterwards? Of course. You know, it doesn't have to pop all the way over. It's hitting this bone when it's right here, you know? And it's kind of just like resting on the peak. So it doesn't have to completely go like that. It can be like this and just be getting irritated. So that's probably what's happening. It doesn't have anything to do with me hyperextending my arm. It probably has more to do with it tensing back up maybe and making the nerve more taut and it doesn't move around as freely. And there's nothing you can really do about that because every time you decompress it, it's going to heal around it and, you know, it can still become tight. So, anyway, sorry this took so long. I already went through my depressed, whatever state dealing with this. I'm trying to make the best of it now, but I was pretty emotional after I was in the doctor's office for kind of inexplicably, really. I knew what was going on, you know, but I guess just to hear him confirm it and basically say like, well, if you want this to feel as good as it did right after surgery again, we're going to have to go back in and do that. And then just thinking, you know, if they do that, it's possible that that could still cause irritation to it, you know? Because, you know, think about if your nerve wants to go straight in your arm and you've got like this flap kind of pulling it and then you're extending here and it's kind of pulling it here, that can be just as much of like a pull on it as it hitting your bone. And I know the fear for them a lot of times is it's a delicate thing, like, right? Because you can't make it too tight because that'll cause compression. So they have to make it kind of loose. And they have to do it in a way that keeps it like in this like safe area, you know, where they've transposed it. If they make it too tight to try to keep it in the area, once the scar tissue heals, it could be just the sling itself could cause compression. And then if they make it too loose and, you know, just for safety's sake to not cause compression, it could cause, you know, it could still jump back over the bone because they didn't like, you know, keep it in the right spot enough. So if I don't have to, I really don't want to do that, but there's not a day that goes by now that I don't have tingling in my hand. You know, sometimes I have the pain too, where the nerve is, that's more rare, but I did feel that yesterday when I was, after exercising, I think it was. So, and then it gets hard too, because, you know, I want to test out how well I can hold up with this. But my left arm gets irritated doing a lot of those same things. And I want to take care of my left one, but I kind of have to do this one first, I guess. What do you guys think? I'd like to hear your opinion. What do you think? Should I get my left one done and just do the fascial flap on the left and see how that goes before I revise my right? Or should I revise my right with the fascial flap and then do my left based on how my right does? Or should I let my right one go and do the left one just like I did my right one and roll the dice and see if it pops over again, which I'm sure it will because my mobility is probably the same. But I would be very curious if you guys have made it to this point in the video. Let me know what you think I should do because I don't know. But anyway, man, that's it. As always, if you guys have any questions. Oh, somebody asked me a question just real quick. They probably won't make it this far, but this will be a good test to see if they watch it. Was asking me how quickly after my surgery could I play guitar. Man, I could play guitar like, I was playing guitar like a couple days after. You're not going to be playing like going to a rehearsal. He said something about a rehearsal and playing for a couple hours. That's not going to happen. Your arm's going to be tired. But I would say after 2 weeks, you'll probably be able to play a rehearsal or at least for like an hour maybe, and then a break and maybe another hour. Sure, I don't think that's unreasonable as long as you're not, you know, doing thrash metal and you're like going crazy, you know. As if you're very, you know, if you've got a soft touch and you know everything. So anyway, let me know if you got any other questions. That's my update. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm still going to give it maybe a few weeks till I decide, and I really very much want to hear what you guys think I should do. So hope you guys are doing better than me. So take care. Aloha.